Man, I'm sorry I missed your dude. I slept through 2 alarms and 2 of your phone calls. I don't know what happened.
You worked all night? You were tired?
I guess. I suppose.
It's all good, man.
All right. Ready when you are.
Hit it.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Hey there, Marvel fans. A fresh start for Spider-Man.
Hey,
Stop. We're going to do that again.
Yeah, you stumbled over something.
Yeah, no, I can't.
It wasn't bad, man.
Yeah, bad is still not perfect. So.
I said it wasn't bad.
No, it was bad and it wasn't perfect. So.
Okay, fine.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Hey there, Marvel fans. A fresh start for Spider-Man.
A mind-blowing issue of Punisher.
There's a naked dude in my X-Men comic.
All this and more on this week's episode of the 6 Months Behind podcast.
Three, 2, 1.
What is up? This is the 6 Month Behind podcast for the week of January 14th, 2019. I am Pat.
And I'm Sean.
And this week, we're Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks just because we can. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I have no idea who those people are.
I almost sent you a YouTube video about them. They are... The Young Bucks were big in Japan, and Cody got tired of doing this thing in the WWE. So they did their own thing.
They're wrestlers. Okay,
they're wrestlers. Okay. Well, but I'm telling you who they are and why they're relevant this week. So they're wrestling in Japan, wrestling in ROH, and there's a lot of the wrestling base that's unhappy with the WWE. So they started an event called All In last year.
Okay.
Did it themselves. Sold out like 14,000 tickets in 30 minutes. The thing was a huge event online. I don't know how much money they made, but they made enough money where they're starting their own wrestling company. And they had a big press conference last Tuesday. Chris Jericho's with them. If you probably don't know who Neville is, Neville's with them. But yeah, I mean, it's a bunch of people there, man.
Well,
it's a big deal.
Why are people upset with WWE?
You know, there are times that the WWE shoves things down your throat, whether you want them or not. And it just gets old at times. And the real problem with the WWE is they're trying to fill about 10 hours of programming a week. That's their real problem.
Yeah, and it's sometimes they don't have the wrestlers they want or need.
Yeah, if you listen to Eric Bischoff, he'll tell you that there was two things that killed WCW. One was Time Warner buying TBS. The second was when Ted Turner himself came to Eric and said, "I want Thursday Nitro." And he had to split his talents and split all his resources and start doing it twice a week instead of once. And he said it just they weren't prepared for it and run the company. Yeah.
Okay.
So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I know they want, to be doing stuff all the time, but if you're losing your fans, maybe knock it back to 8 hours of programming a week.
Well, they would say they're not because their subscriptions on the WME network are through the roof. And I tell you what, man, the Raw ratings in late November and December were the worst they have ever been. And you look at some of the Raw ratings from the mid-late 90s, they were bad, man. We're talking 1.5s, 2s. They were bad.
I mean, if you're a wrestling fan, you're using the WWE service. It's just what you're doing.
Right.
I mean, I don't know that that's necessarily indicative of a problem.
Their viewership being down? Dude, Fox just paid Fox and
Yeah, but I don't think their viewership is down.
Viacom, just paid $500,000 for those viewership numbers. They would beg to differ.
Yeah, their viewership isn't down. It's on the app.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's what I think anyway.
I mean, it's delayed in the app. You don't get it for like 6 or 8 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. If you miss Monday night, don't DVR it. You got to go to Hulu.
Now those would be interesting numbers to see who's, because in all likelihood, if you're watching the WWE app, you've got a couple of different streaming services. So I imagine they're just catching it on Hulu, and the ratings drop on the networks is probably a result of cable cutting and not.
It's like me, man. A lot of times, if I don't get it on Monday night, I catch it on Hulu at work during lunch.
Right, and I imagine you're the pretty standard wrestling fan in terms of that.
And there's a lot of programs, man. If I don't get them when I want them, I just get them at lunch. I watch The Gifted at lunch. I watch dude. I watched that documentary on the Fry Festival that's on Netflix.
Yeah.
Holy cow, was that thing a disaster?
I have heard there's 2 documentaries on Netflix about it, actually.
Now there's one on Netflix, one on Hulu.
Oh, okay. That's what it is.
Yes.
I've heard people talk about that. Not just the festival. I remember when the festival happened and what a shit show it was. But I've heard people talk about that documentary and they're like, oh, we didn't even know.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, there were literally weeks out, and I can't remember the guy's. It's Billy something. Weeks, months out, there's a dude, this isn't going to work, cancel it. Days before, they were like, dude, cancel it. And then the night before the event, an enormous rainstorm came through and essentially destroyed all their shelter and bedding. And at that point, it just became a cluster.
Yeah, because at that point, it's too late to stop people from coming.
Yeah.
People are showing up.
But they didn't, because all the flights were chartered from Miami. So all you had to do was tell the people in Miami, hey, man, you're not coming. But then,
so they could have done that and didn't.
Dude, literally the day before, they could have stopped people from coming.
Yeah, they just didn't want to issue the refunds.
They didn't have the money, man.
Yeah.
Ooh. The money was gone.
That's rough, dude. I need to watch that documentary.
The amazing thing is the dude gets out of bail on $500,000 bond where the FBI arrested him, and he starts scamming people again, taking the list of buyers from the Fry Festival and starts scamming these people a second time. And it takes the FBI like a month. And they just go arrest him like, dude, what are you doing, man? You're going to jail and not getting out for 6 years.
Is that where he's at now?
Yeah. 6 years.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, dude. It was.
That's awful.
And by the way, do you know why Derek Jeter, you've never heard a bad thing about Derek Jeter? I'm assuming you know who Derek Jeter is. If you go to a party that Derek Jeter is hosting, there's a giant basket when you walk in and you deposit your cell phone there. And when you leave, you get your cell phone back. Instead, this idiot, even when he was out on bail, recorded everything. Even when he was out on bail, man. It's unbelievable.
Dude, like, we've talked about this before. People doing dumb stuff and putting it on social media is, I don't understand those people.
It is the, Paige and I were talking today, the young lady at work. I was trying to figure out I was Googling something in Microsoft and it opened Bing. I was Googling some Microsoft Word and it opened Bing, and the bikini hiker died over the weekend, I think.
Who?
So this woman, she was 36 years old. And apparently she was famous for hiking to the top of very high mountains in her bikini and taking pictures up there.
Okay.
So you care to guess what happened to her over the weekend?
She died because she was hiking in a bikini.
Yes. That's Darwinism, man. That's nature taking care of itself. Okay.
Yeah, it is.
That's what it is. And sometimes I just think if you're going to post things on, the dude who was leaning off the edge of a building to take a selfie and he falls.
Yeah.
Sorry for your luck, man.
Yeah.
I got nothing for you.
The species just got stronger.
Yeah, I got nothing, man.
Yeah.
Dude. Anyway,
speaking of people blinking out of existence in horrible fashions, so I was looking over the year-end 2018 sales numbers from Diamond. Dude, Infinity Gauntlet, which was an event that came out years ago, sold 40,000 copies last year.
Yeah,
was the top-selling graphic novel in 2018.
Yep. Which I believe I posted those numbers on the website. I don't know if that's where you found them or not. Oh, okay.
I found them in a couple places that they were all over the place, but that was like the big takeaway was, holy cow, Infinity Gauntlet sold 40,000 a graphic novel from the 80s sold 40,000.
Dude, and the Watchmen always sells all kinds of copies, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like,
well, that's because DC keeps pumping them out. And it's popular enough that the stores keep a few on the shelf, always have some on the shelf. And that's how they keep from paying Alan Moore.
Really?
Yeah. As long as they're publishing and selling them, the rights stay with DC and he doesn't get paid.
Holy cow, that's cheap, man.
Dude, you not know that?
No.
Yeah. Dude, that's why at one point a few years ago, of course, everyone all of DC had turned over. It wasn't the same people anymore, and they went to Alan Moore and were like, "Hey, look, can we work this out? Here, we're just going to write you a big check, whatever." Alan Moore ripped up the check and sent it back to him.
Really?
Yeah, you should read about that sometime. That's why Alan Moore does almost nothing these days. He hates the industry so much that he just sits in his man cave with his beard and broods.
Dude, I've heard about movies that whenever you make a movie in Hollywood, if you're guaranteed a percentage of the profit, there is no movie, no matter how much it costs and how much it grosses, that ever makes money because they bury all the profits so they don't have to pay anybody.
Yeah, I imagine there's some of these runaway blockbusters that just doesn't work out, but
yeah, but those are usually independent films, not not major motion pictures.
No, the big blockbusters are usually major motion pictures.
Sure, and with a big blockbuster, you can say, "Oh, it cost us $250 million in advertising. We didn't make any money on it." Okay, and we got distribution in China and all over the world, dude. Yeah,
and somehow everybody who's in Infinity War is rolling in dough, but okay.
They dude, read about it sometime. As you just told me, Google it sometime.
I got you. I understand. Anyway, we should probably get to our comic books this week, but if you want to get in touch with us, you can email us at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That's the number 6monthsbehind@gmail.com.
The website is www.6monthsbehind.com.
Anything new on the website?
There's all kinds of new stuff on the website. What isn't there is we did the what's next, and I promised links for everything, and I hate the Marvel app. Have we said that yet this week? Dude, I go to log in yesterday, and it wouldn't let me log in, and it wanted me to change my password. And suddenly I'm on Bluehost, and I'm doing all these things with the website, and all I needed was the links to those X-Men books we talked about, and I'm having to reset passwords and do this and that, and I'm doing it during my lunch break at work, and it wasn't until I got home last night that I straightened all those passwords out. It was, dude, I hate Marvel.
And here we are doing a Marvel podcast on a Tuesday.
Fix your friggin' app, man. Fix your app. It's not that hard.
Dude, you and I have gone on and on about how they don't support this service or advertise it in any real way. I mean, Amazon Comixology teamed up and revamped their subscription service, their unlimited service the other day, charged half the price for it, and it works fine most of the time. I mean, like with anything, you're going to have problems occasionally, but it gets fixed. It's timely.
Yes.
It's an app that works well. The Marvel Unlimited app is essentially the same as it was in 2015.
Dude, it's the same as it was in 2010.
Well, it didn't exist in 2010.
I've been a member since 14. It's been around since like 2009, man.
No, it's been around since 2013.
No.
Yep.
No.
You can Google it. It has.
I'm Googling it.
Anyway, by the way, I signed up for that Comixology Unlimited. You get a month free and it's only $5.99. So we'll see where it goes. I added a couple things to my list, and it gets a little confusing because I'm also a Prime member. So there's certain things that are available on Unlimited, certain things that are available through the Kindle with my Prime subscription, all of which I can get in that app. And sometimes it's difficult to understand what's on Unlimited, what's in the Kindle, what I can and can't read. So
yeah, it can be confusing, but the Kindle app works every time.
Yeah, it does. It always works.
Which is what drives the Comixology app, which is, and it all works.
It works. Also, if you sign up for Comixology Unlimited, you get like 15 to 25% off comics you buy in Comixology.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'll try to. I mean, I got a free month, so we'll try it out for a month and see how it goes. It's not the first time I've signed up for Unlimited, so I guess they're just offering everyone a free month now. Now that they've got all the DC stuff, which, by the way, there's a ton of DC stuff there. So if you're interested in like the most recent Batman stuff, all the major stuff from DC, a lot of the major events, Flashpoint, Crisis, etc., that's all there.
Is it?
I found a good bit of it. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah. Anyway, we do discuss spoilers on the show, so if you haven't read all these comic books, you should pause here, go read them, come back later. We will still be here.
October 13th, 2009.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Dude, you want me to text it to you?
No. It's just
and Chris Brown's out of jail now, so
yeah, he's got the money to post bail.
Yeah,
it doesn't make him innocent.
I didn't know he'd been arrested again.
Oh yeah, he got arrested in Paris for assaulting someone.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we're like 20 minutes in. Do you want to talk about a comic book?
Yeah, you should talk about our Infinity Comics.
Which is Darkhawk #4. And I'm gonna tell you, I was a little disappointed with the end of this.
Me too.
The thing is, this has been going on for like 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, since golly, what was that first Interstellar Crisis that rebooted the Marvel Universe and
Annihilation Wave?
Annihilation. This has been going on since Annihilation, which has been at least 10 years. And it just, you know,
I think it's
Chris is out there. Chris is out there, you know, and Nova's still trying to save his brother. And, you know, his brother is now essentially the Phoenix. They're calling him the Darkhawk Force or something. And he's the Phoenix. And Chris Pyle's got all this, you know, the Darkhawk's got all these problems and doesn't know what to do with it. And Rich Rider's convinced he can save his brother, you know, or I could say, you know, Scott Summers is convinced he can save Jean Grey. It's the same thing, man. And I read it and I was like, it wasn't the ending I was looking for.
You took the same story and put a different cover on it.
Yeah, put different covers on it. You know, Chris goes home to live happily ever after, except the Sleepwalker comes to him in the dream. So apparently we're going to get more of him in Infinity War. And it was, I was really jacked during the first 3 issues. And this last issue left me disappointed.
I was like, man, on the first one. The second one really got me. The third one was good. And this one was like, this is it's also become a confusing mess because all the Darkhawk and the guy that he's fighting all look different, or they look the same.
Yes.
And it was hard to figure out who was who and who's talking to who and who they're referring to if you're not familiar with these characters. And I'm aside from Rich Rider, I'm not terribly familiar with a lot of these characters.
Yeah, and that gets confusing. It
Yeah, it got
wasn't
real
big.
confusing.
It was just a mess.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't awful, but there are way better books that came out this week.
Right.
Speaking of, Champions number 22 might not have been one. So this is the first issue that we've seen after the kind of soft reboot of the Champions. The Champions meet up with Amadeus Cho, who is Tiny Hulk now. Because he got out of jail or whatever. And now he's calling himself Brawn, which is stupid. He should just.
Okay.
Did you not read this?
No.
It's also on the cover. Yeah, he's calling himself Brawn now because I don't know. He's basically green Amadeus Cho, who's a little buff, but not like Hulk buff. And so he's calling himself Brawn, and it's just that's a terrible name. And I'll tell you what, I don't think it's gonna stick. I think in 3 or 4 issues, they're gonna stop referring to him as Brawn.
Yeah, we'll see.
Meanwhile, Riri shows off her new armor, which is a redesign because Bendis left Marvel, so of course they have to redesign the character. It's all right. I don't hate the redesign. She kind of looks like Pink Mega Man, but okay.
Pink Mega Man. I like that.
Meanwhile, back at the Vision household, Vision is recovering from whatever it was that the virus. He had a virus or something. Things seem to be going well with him. Viv introduces the new teammate to her father. She's going to stay with the Visions for a while. The champions show up and ask if she can come out to play. So they fly off. She takes the dog with her. That's literally what they ask, if Viv can come out to play.
I know, but they do it all the time. They like ring the doorbell and, hey, Mr. Vision, can Viv come out?
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
After she leaves, Dr. Tony Ho is there, who's been doing the examination on Vision. And turns out that was all a ruse. He's not doing well at all, and he's going to die, essentially. That's what they determined, is that the virus that he had is still there. It's going to degrade all of his systems, and he's going to die, which is a departure from what we found out in a previous Avengers series where he meets his ancient older self who is, like 50,000 years old because he's a robot and can replace parts all the time. And so he can just live forever.
Yeah. And one of these days, I'm going to figure out how Ultron or the Vision could ever die.
Right. Like that's my thing, is he's like, well, we know that this doesn't happen because we've already met his future self.
And, somewhere a geek would say, yeah, but that's an alternate timeline. It doesn't necessarily apply to this one.
No, it wasn't an alternate timeline. Go back and read that.
I understand, but that's
that
what
Avengers comic. It was not an alternate timeline.
I know.
Anyway, the champions are off to West Africa, Tanzania, in fact, to help with some sort of problem where the water's been contaminated. Nova's all bummed out because he's lost his helmet. Miss Marvel gives him a pep talk. They arrive in Tanzania, begin investigating what's going on there, find out that Swamp Thing has invaded the local water system, and, well, they're going to have to deal with that in the next issue. Also, Viv Vision, it turns out, turned off her emotion chip or whatever, and is definitely not dealing with all the trauma she's dealt with in the last little while.
Okay.
So, yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah. Next, we have our X-Men books, and we have X-Men Blue number 31. By the way, shoot, I left it when I went to looking up when Marvel was formed, but hang on, I get that page open again and tell you when Exterminator comes out.
I've already read it.
I understand, but I was going to tell you when it came out for all the people who haven't read it.
I know, but I was just letting you know I read it.
Oh, Here we go. Let's see. On 128, Infinity Wars Prime comes out. 2-4 Infinity Wars 1. February 11th, Fantastic Four number 1. February 18th, Infinity Wars number 2. August 18th is Extermination number 1. And then on February 25th, the book that you can't live without, West Coast Avengers number 1.
Which is getting canceled in April.
I know you're excited about that book, man. Come on. I know you are.
I wasn't excited about it to begin with, and I'm thankful that it's already canceled. They get 10 issues into it and can it.
Yeah, God bless them. Anyway, this is all leading up to Exterminated. We have a flashback to a scene that happened a couple of years ago when the X-Men Blue Team was trying to decide whether or not they could trust Magneto, and he takes his helmet off and lets young Jean Grey into his head, where she finds that he's evil and always will be evil, but he's trying to be good, so she's going to help him anyway. Yeah. Next, we cut to Polaris and Alex and a scene from the Hellfire Club. And, I'm not sure when this happened. It was sometime after the Secret Empire event, but Emma Frost is regained her position of the Hellfire Club as the White Queen, and I don't remember that happening.
I don't think we ever saw it happen.
I don't think so, but Magneto is after the Hellfire Club, and he shows up at this Hellfire Club, which is in Manhattan, and just pretty much kills everybody and destroys everything because, he's a little ticked off. Then the X-Men show up to investigate, find out what's going on. They go to California, talk to his own sometime Magneto's sometime girlfriend, sometimes not, Raleigh, and she says she don't know where he is. And then they go to Emma Frost, and Emma's jetting out of Paris because she realizes that Magneto's coming for her, except the X-Men get there, and then as the X-Men are there, the book closes with Magneto coming to get Emma. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And if you read what's it, you know where all this is going.
Yeah, it was meh.
Did you read that last page?
Yeah.
The last page of issue 5?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you saw which character they're bringing back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm mad about extinction or whatever it is, and I'm mad about that character coming back because it doesn't make any sense.
X-Men Disassembled, you mean?
Whatever.
Yeah, you got Extermination, which is
Extermination. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I read all 5 issues. It was meh at best.
Yeah, it wasn't great, but they had to tie up those plot lines.
Yeah, no, you're right. It was one of those things. It was a necessary event, not necessarily one that was good.
Yeah, I would agree with that assessment.
We'll talk about it as it comes out.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in New Mutants number 5, the New Mutants have a new mission to seek out Doctor Strange. So they go to the Sanctum Sanctorum. Magic uses her soul sword to break in and get past the magic wards that protect the sanctum. And they all decide to split up and explore to look for Doctor Strange because they're under the impression he's not here and they're looking for something. Richter finds a couple of talking snakes who hurl insults at him in a very YouTube commenty internet thread kind of way. Boom Boom says to heck with this, goes and grabs a snack from the kitchen, plops down in front of the TV, and hangs out with Bats the ghost dog for a little while. Then we have an interesting interaction between Rain and Strong Guy, where apparently Rain had a son and Strong Guy killed him.
Yeah, Strong Guy was a villain for a while. He was possessed by a demon or something, and
yeah. I mean, they showed all this in a flashback,
right? I forget when it was. Man, it was a few years ago.
Okay, I missed that somewhere.
I did too, but dude, before the app, you couldn't read everything.
Yeah, no, absolutely. anyway, they have a little heart-to-heart moment and make up. Meanwhile, Magic runs across Doctor Strange. And Doctor Strange tells her, "Yeah, a demon told you that he was coming after me so that you would come here and break into my house so that he could get past all the magical wards and you could basically let him through the front door. Oh, by the way, I'm the demon. I'm not actually Doctor Strange." So there's a big throwdown with the demon. In order to fight the demon, they're able to turn him back into his human form, and he's naked, and the only thing keeping you from seeing his demon junk is well-placed flames and paper, and smoke trails. That's I don't need naked dudes in my comic, thanks. Meanwhile, strong
naked women, but not naked dudes.
There ain't no naked women in these comic books.
They get as close as that dude did.
Sometimes. Yeah, and like we talked about with that Hunt for Wolverine book that was basically the ladies of the X-Men tromping through Madripoor. Not into that either.
Yeah.
It's like, just tell a good story. I don't need, I don't need all that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the solution seems to be to have Strong Guy grab him and Magic banish them to hell. So now Strong Guy's trapped in hell, and they've got to go rescue him. So that's, I assume, going to be the next issue. Meanwhile, in Connecticut, some kid has been infected with the techno-organic virus from Warlock because they decided they wanted to beat Warlock up, and that just didn't go well. And now he's a robot thingy. So that's the B story happening in this comic. I'm enjoying this series. I think it's a limited series. I think issue 6 is the last one, might be, or maybe not. I hope not, but I would like to see it continue because I enjoy this thoroughly.
Yeah, I did too. I am enjoying it. I really enjoyed this issue. First issue was kind of meh, but the last 3 have been good. It's been very enjoyable. I think it's going to wind down because other than maybe, like the solo books, Wolverine and things like that, they're canceling all the X books leading up to Uncanny.
Yeah, this strikes me as a mini series, just to test the waters and see if a New Mutants title would be interesting.
Right. They're canceling Gold, Blue, Red.
Yeah, they're gonna wrap them all up into Uncanny X-Men after.
Yeah, they're gonna put them all there in Uncanny.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
And last week Uncanny number 10 came out, and the world blew up on Twitter.
Yeah, I read the first issue of Uncanny. It was okay.
It gets better.
Yeah. Well,
it can't get worse.
No, it could. It was not a bad issue, and we'll talk about it when it comes out on Limited, but it's a lot of like reintroduction.
I expected Uncanny to show up next month in February, I should say, and it didn't. I guess we'll get it in March. I thought it had been out longer than that. I mean, they just put the 10th issue out and they're shipping every 2 weeks. That's 5 months. So, February would be 6. I thought it would be out, but it's not. So, anywho, next we have Exiles number 5. This was a very good book. I'm really enjoying this series, and I'm glad this isn't the last issue of it. Sir?
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
Looked like the last issue to me.
Go to the last page and you see a cover for the next issue.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, really. So they defeat Kang. Excuse me. They're fighting Kang. They're in his, of course, they're going to defeat him. They're fighting Kang. They're at his base at the end of the universe, the time universe. Nick Fury's there. They're basically being overwhelmed. So they decide that they need to get back to where this all started, which is the blue area of the moon. Somewhere along the way, they pick up Sabretooth. I really don't understand. I guess he was one of the original Exiles. I didn't understand that. So Kang begins popping out thousands of Kangs from the different universes. So when they get back to the blue area of the moon, they start popping out lots of themselves to fight all the Kangs. And eventually they win, and everything is restored except Kamala Khan sacrificed herself along the way by blowing herself up to delay the Kang and Kangs. And Yeah, it was good. Good. Yeah. There's a cover, man. Next issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I was under the impression this was it. So
I don't know what this thing's doing, man. There's one of them. I want to say still coming out on the newsstand. It may be Exiles. One of them is still on the newsstand because I see it occasionally. We should know these things.
We probably should
do our homework. Yeah, probably so.
Yeah. Hunt for Wolverine, Adamantium Agenda number 3. This is the one where Tony Stark and basically the Avengers are looking for the DNA of Wolverine. They went to this auction on a submarine. Mr. Sinister's there. They fight Mr. Sinister. They keep the submarine from sinking. They hand all the criminals over to the South Korean authorities and go looking for Mr. Sinister's lair, which they find. And apparently Tony Stark keeps Iron Man armor for all of the Avengers because he just has specialized armor available for Luke Cage and Spider-Man and Jessica Jones and everybody else. They bust into this base of Mr. Sinister's, who is a woman, but okay. Continuity errors. Editing's not a real thing anymore. They find a humongous store of DNA from many heroes, and we'll see what happens in the next issue. This is the Avengers romping around in an X-Men story, is what this is. It's not bad. In fact, this is the best of the 4 Hunt for Wolverine comics going. This is probably the best one.
Sure.
It's just not, they're not hunting for Wolverine.
No, they're not, which is one of the frustrating things about it. So we have Old Man Logan number 43. Great cover of Bullseye on this by Mike Deodato and Carlos Lopez. Dude, that's an awesome cover. And the interior art's very good too. This reporter from the Kingpin series that we had, Bullseye kills her in this issue, and Wolverine is about to leave town. I was still thinking about the Exiles, which he probably could wish he could leave town. Then he can go back to his family in the Badlands. Anywho, when he finds that the reporter's been dead and realizes it's just Wolverine looking for him. And it is, except along the way, if you remember that Bullseye series from about 6 months ago, the FBI agent whose husband Bullseye killed is there. She's also looking for Bullseye. And they're both together. They're in the apartment. And then they go after Bullseye together.
I thought it was cool that they tied the 2 stories together.
They tied all 3. Old Man Logan, the Kingpin story, that 5-issue limited series before he became mayor, and the Bullseye story. They tied them all together, which is pretty cool. Yeah, if you had Daredevil, you'd have everything. So
you got Bullseye, so
yeah,
Daredevil can't be far behind.
No, he can't. And they go to Bullseye's representative, and Bullseye kills him, and then he killed everybody in the building he was in, and there you go.
Yeah, Wolverine's pissed, and now he's going to go put his claws in somebody.
And this is a really good series. It's winding down because you got he's dying, and he's losing his healing factor, so it's obviously winding down. But yeah, it's a good series, man.
Yeah, and as we saw in the beginning, that gift he got from the lady in Japan was a store of that drug that is helping.
Regenix? Is that what it was called?
Yeah, that's what it was. Regenix.
Right.
Which helps him in the short term, but takes an effect on the long term. It's the thing that's slowing his healing factor.
Right.
Yeah. Then we have X-23 number 1. This was all new Wolverine. They have rebranded and re-number 1'd, and essentially picking up right where they left off with the Wolverine story. She's
okay.
She's X-23 again. What were you gonna say?
Why did they reboot it with a number 1? Same characters, same story.
It is a new creative team, but dude, that's not enough.
It's not, man. I mean, because I was afraid we were going to lose Gabby, or I was afraid we were going to lose what's the Wolverine's name?
Laura Kinney?
No, the actual Wolverine they have.
I can never. Why can we never remember the?
I don't know. Anyway, I was afraid we were going to lose it. No, man, it's just there. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So written by Mariko Tamaki and art by Juan Cabal. First of all, the art in this is great. Mike Choi did the cover, and the cover is great. This is also a plus size issue. It's a few more pages than normal. So as we've seen in the previous Wolverine comics, Laura Kinney and Gabby are spending their time running around, rounding up all of the DNA and genetic material that's used to create clones of themselves or Wolverine at all, and basically taking out the scientists and all the facilities that are doing that, which turns out to be a lot. So there's a big fight scene here in the beginning. Gabby's having fun with it. And they recover the info that they need and return it to Hank McCoy at the Xavier Institute. Hank's wearing a green suit for some reason. I don't know. Also, he's wearing shoes, which is like, dude, where do you find shoes? Dude, yeah, I mean, like, where does that guy find shoes? Anyway, he tells Laura about a scientist who worked on the X-23 project that has now gone missing, and they need to find her. So as they're leaving, Gabby went to the kitchen and got a pretzel because she wanted a pretzel, and they run into the Stepford Cuckoos on the stairs there in the main hallway. Now, this is good timing. In fact, I asked you, did you read this before we did What's Next last week? Because
I did not. No.
It involved the Stepford Cuckoos. In fact, this whole story will involve the Stepford Cuckoos, as you see. And it's Celeste, Mindy, and Phoebe who have new costumes and are doing that weird thing where they all speak in unison. And Gabby notices they're holding a bakery box. Turns out it's their birthday, and they're going to go celebrate their birthday with some cupcakes. This leads to a whole, like, thing between Laura and Gabby at a diner, at a place called Marvel Falafel, which is like, dude, could you come up with a little more creative name? Anyway,
sure.
Gabby wants to celebrate her birthday, and Laura's like, yeah, no, we're clones. We don't do that. And, you know, there's the whole argument. Well, they're clones of Emma Frost and they celebrate theirs. And she's just throwing a fit and pissed off about it. Jonathan is the name of the Wolverine.
Jonathan. That's right.
Yeah. Jonathan, the misunderstood Wolverine.
Yes.
Who, if you aren't reading this, and maybe this is the first issue you've picked up, Jonathan, the misunderstood Wolverine is a literal Wolverine who is the pet of Laura Kinney and Gabby.
Yes.
So they go home, begin discussing their mission when we catch up with the Cuckoos, who they're going to go celebrate their birthday in an old abandoned church. That's weird. Yeah, well, it turns out the Cuckoos are the ones who kidnapped this genetic scientist. Why would they do something like that? Oh, they're just trying to clone and resurrect their previously two dead sisters and are not succeeding at it. So they're going to go celebrate with 5 cupcakes because 5 of them are alive now. Now, if you see the two who were once dead and now alive, and if you listen to our previous episode of What's Next, you know about all this. You also get a little catch up in this issue. Obviously, they're clone bodies that are not perfect and are degenerating. In fact, both of them are dying. So they're trying to brainwash and manipulate this genetic scientist into creating perfect clone bodies for them to put their sisters back in. So yeah, that's both creepy and weird. And it effectively makes the Cuckoos the villains of this story.
Yes.
Yeah. And at the very end, one of the clones injects one of the other clones who's about to die with Weapon X serum, which is basically Laura Kinney's blood.
Yes.
And yeah, we'll see where this goes in the next issue, man, because this was all introduction to, like, here's the characters, here's what we're doing, here's the bad guys, here's why they're bad. And whew, it was a doozy.
It was a doozy. It was good too.
It was
There was
really good.
There were some good lines in there, like what was it, Clone Power, when she fist
Yeah.
pumped him.
Yeah.
There was some good stuff in there. Next up, we have Domino number 4. First off, Shang-Chi's on the cover, and in the issue, she makes out with Shang-Chi. Off the top of my head, that's like Logan, Cable, James Proudstar, and Shang-Chi that I know she's made out with in like the last 2 months. Seriously?
Yeah.
That's dude. She's getting up there with Black Widow. I mean,
yeah, like they could probably compare notes.
Yeah. Anyway,
You could write a solid 32 pages on just them comparing notes about who they've been with in the Marvel Universe.
Yep. So this starts with Project Armageddon and a flashback to where she was created, and it's an interesting little story, and I'm sure it's going somewhere. But the book, that page interlude, we cut to our friends who are on the boat, and they decide to go get in trouble, because that's what assassins do when they're bored. Then we finally cut to the main story, which is Domino being trained by Shang-Chi. And this goes about as good as you would expect. She shows up in a silly outfit, and he hits her before she can shoot him. It's just, it's all bad. Then we cut to the girls who have contacted Deadpool, just, because Deadpool's got to be in every book. And he tells them what they need to know. So there you go. Then we're back to Shang-Chi and Domino, and they fight pretty well. Then the girls are invading the Armageddon Project, and that doesn't go well for them. Because the whole thing's really like weird. I don't understand if these people have been trapped there since Domino was a girl or what's going on. Then we end with, Shang-Chi and Domino making out and somebody attacking him. There you go.
Yeah.
It was all right.
Yeah, it wasn't half bad.
Yeah, it was okay.
You gotta pee?
I gotta pee, man. I gotta pee bad. I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Hold on. Sorry about that.
No problem. All right.
Okay.
We're just gonna get straight into Spider-Man.
Yep.
3, 2, 1. And in Spider-Man this week, we have the relaunched, all new, Amazing Spider-Man #1.
This was pretty good.
Actually, I really enjoyed this. So Nick Spencer's your new writer. Dan Slott's been writing Spider-Man for a decade. He's now on Iron Man, and spoiler alert, will be taking over Fantastic Four shortly. And Nick Spencer is now writing Spider-Man. Now, I was not thrilled with this because Nick Spencer wrote Secret Empire, which I was also not thrilled with. So I had my doubts going in. Turns out I was wrong, and if this first issue is any indication of what the series is going to be like, we're going to be just fine. So, as always happens when you have a new creative team, especially after a decade, um, they didn't reboot the character, but they kind of put him in new positions. So Pete is working at the Daily Bugle as the science editor. He's in an apartment. He's got two roommates, one of whom is a supervillain, who's the supervillain Boomerang. Now, of course, Peter's not supposed to know this and pretends he doesn't know, because obviously his roommate doesn't know he's Spider-Man, or otherwise that would cause conflict. But there's already enough conflict because his roommate is up at like 4 a.m. playing Call of Duty Latveria, because that's a thing in the Marvel universe. And yeah, he's basically a crappy roommate. But Peter could use the help with the rent every month, so there you go. Now, the rest of the comic is in present day. There's a big fight in New York with some aliens who are falling from the sky. This is interspersed with a recap of basically what Peter Parker's week has been like. So here we go. Also, these aliens that are attacking New York, those are definitely the head crabs from Half-Life.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Marvel once again ripping off another property and no one calling their bluff. Because dude, just if you ever played Half-Life, you know those are the head crabs that they even do the same thing. They jump on your head and take over your body. So all the heroes are upset with Peter because Mayor Fisk has tried to give Spider-Man the key to the city, and he seems to be the only superhero that Wilson Fisk is willing to tolerate, despite being having declared all the superheroes public enemy number one. That's got them on the bad side of all the other superheroes. Meanwhile, at work at the Daily Bugle, they go to interview a new lady at the university who's debuting a new software that can spot fraudulent. When students write papers, it can determine whether they've plagiarized or not. Well, she pulls Peter up on stage only to horribly embarrass him by deciding that his graduate thesis was fraudulent. Now, what happened was that this thesis was written when Doc Ock was Peter Parker, and so that's what's happening here. It's not really fraudulent, but it is, but it isn't. But he can't tell people that, so he just looks like a hole in front of everyone. Which my thought is, really, you're gonna pull Peter Parker, former tech billionaire, up on stage just to embarrass the crap out of him? Like, that's how you get libel suits, dude. But okay. Like that in real life, that would get a university in serious trouble.
Yes.
Yeah, like losing accreditation kind of trouble. Anyway, Robbie's forced to fire Peter, so now he ain't got no job. He goes to catch up with Mary Jane to tell her about this. She laughs at him. She's not laughing at him. She's laughing at his horrible bad luck. Meanwhile, he has to go talk to Aunt May, who's supremely disappointed in all of this, and in a way that she's never been disappointed in Peter before. So that's been Peter Parker's week, and he's having a really bad week, and everything's terrible, and he decides he's just going to sacrifice himself to save the world from these aliens, and that's just going to be it. Yeah, anyway, it turns out that these aliens aren't real, and it's Mysterio up to his same old stuff. So he takes out Mysterio with little to no effort, saves the day, and goes to find Mary Jane, confesses his love for Mary Jane. They kiss, and hey, guess what? Brand new. Nick's gonna undo Brand New Day.
Yeah, because there's a line in there where Peter talks about the fact that he feels that there's something wrong between he and Mary Jane. And what he's alluding to is, he feels like he doesn't know the events of Brand New Day, but it's like tugging in the back of his mind like something he can't remember.
Right. Because he made a deal with Mephisto and it was magic.
Sure.
Yeah. So obviously they're getting back together in some way or another. The name of this story arc is Back to Basics. If you look at the sales numbers for that Renew Your Vow comic that we're going to talk about, where they're together, that thing's been selling like crazy. So I kind of understand why they're doing this. I'm okay with it because out of all the women that Peter's been involved with, I like Mary Jane the best. No surprise there. There's a nice little page from editor Nick Lowe after this talking about Spider-Man, but we're not done.
No.
We've still got about 8 pages. We find Mysterio in the courtroom where he's representing himself after having been apprehended for attacking New York. Some lawyer lady walks in who's also a bug superhero or something. I don't know who she is.
She was in that Ant-Man series.
Oh, okay. I don't know who any of the people are who show up in this. Anyway, she shows up, decides to represent him, and then all of a sudden people start vomiting bugs onto the floor. The whole place is covered in bugs, and some bug villain shows up. I don't know who this is, but apparently he can control bugs.
I don't remember, but he was very unhappy with Mysterio.
Yeah, he's super pissed at Mysterio for some reason. This may be some new guy that we've never seen. I don't know. I don't know who this is. Anyway, Mysterio suddenly snaps out of it and realizes it's a hallucination, or so he thinks, which is his lawyer can use as a insanity defense. Meanwhile, Peter's going back to Empire State University, and he's going to actually earn his graduate degree from none other than the Lizard, Dr. Connor.
Yes.
Yeah. 45 pages. It was a large issue, as was X-23, but it was good, man. It was a good starting point for a new Spider-Man series.
Yeah, and if you're Nick Spencer in the whole comic world and every nerd hates you, how do you get them to like you again? Well, you put Peter and Mary Jane back together.
Yeah. I mean, there's multiple reasons why they're doing this. It's been a decade since Brand New Day, a little more actually. Like I said, there's all of the indicators that this would be a good idea. And worst case scenarios, you can always have them just break up. So, yeah. I mean, yeah, or kill Mary Jane, which might be even more unpopular than Brand New Day, but we'll see.
Yeah, but you weren't reading comics this time, but the marriage got really complicated.
It bogged down the story.
Right. It really, I mean, it just anyway, it got complicated. Anywho, next we have Renew Your Vows number 21. And they're out in pursuit of Spiderettes. Is that her name? Spiderette? Spiderling. Yeah. Spiderling's clone. They don't find the clone, but they find where the action was. Then Peter and Mary Jane are discussing it. They decide that she is definitely hiding something. About that time, we cut back to Annie, who is called Normie Osborn. I guess it's Norman's grandson.
Yeah.
And last time we saw them, they were both like 7 or 8 years old. Now they're both teenagers. He's running a company. She's in high school. So she asked him, "Hey, you think your dad could have used any of this cloning stuff, to make this happen?" He's like, "Oh no, I'm sure it hasn't." He hangs up with her. About that time, Peter knocks on the window to talk to Normie. He's like, "Hey, man," ask him the same group of questions. Normie's like, "Yeah, I'm not sure." Along the way, we visit the grave of Ben Riley and talk about the kid that Mary Jane didn't have. And yeah, anyway.
It kind of it straightened out some of the things that were weird about the Clone Saga. Anyway, apparently in this timeline she never had the baby.
Yeah, because Mary Jane did have a baby. We don't know if the father was Ben Riley or Peter Parker. We don't even really know what the Peter Parker is real or if he was Ben Riley, and she just gave the baby away and we've never seen it since. There you go. And by the way, Gwen Stacy slept with Norman Osborn. All this is great. Anywho, and has 2 kids.
Except apparently none of that happened in this particular timeline.
Right. Yeah. So then we cut to the Spider Trio and they're fighting the clones. Normie finally gets to studying the blueprints and realizes there's a secret basement. When he gets down there, he's attacked by the clones and Mr. Sinister. It's really good.
I'm actually enjoying it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
The series has improved over time. Yeah. Daredevil 605. So Daredevil is trapped in this building with the Knights of the Dragons or the Order of the Dragons. They think there's no way out. There's no way they can get past all these hand ninjas that have surrounded them. Except then Matt remembers that there's horses nearby for the police. So they get on some. That's the Achilles heel that takes out the hand. They're able to kill the hand. Matt does it with a magic sword or something. Yeah, they save the day. A week later, Matt hands the reins back over to Mayor Fisk and resigns as deputy mayor. Yeah, the last page is we found out that Wilson Fisk fixed the election, which is, exactly what he would do, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, I got you. What do you want? What?
Dude, you're buffering horribly, man. I mean, I was picking up like every third word. It's worse than it was in the beginning.
Hang on. Is it still doing it?
It's not now. No, now it's quit. But it did it all the way through both Spider-Man books. Or through the Spider-Man book and then the Daredevil book.
Okay. Well,
yes, it's still doing it.
Because that, okay.
Well, yeah, now it's still doing it.
Then we're just not. I don't. There's no changing it. Nothing to be done, man.
I'm sorry, man. I got like a very small fraction of what you said. You want to try and keep going, or you wrap it up on your end, or